few words before we start. In parts of this episode, I'm using a special recording technique. Some call it binaural audio, some spatial audio, and I normally just say 3D audio, because it is three-dimensional and so much more than just regular stereo where the sound comes from only left and right. So put on your headphones to get the full experience. And now, on with the show.
I suppose you cannot fly, sir.
What?
You cannot fly because the flight is departing in a few minutes. So. Yeah.
Meet Palle, a full-time traveler and digital nomad from Denmark on an epic journey around the world. At the age of 50, he made a bold decision. He sold everything, his house, his car, his furniture, and set out on a quest to visit every country in the world, documenting everything along the way. This is The Radio Vagabond.
This is recorded at 4:53 p.m. one afternoon at the airport in Madrid, Spain. I'm about to board the flight to my next destination. I wasn't in a hurry to get on the plane. I already got my assigned seat, so in order not to stand in line, I just sat around until there were hardly any people left. That turned out to be a big mistake, and something that would almost make me lose my flight. And this is the story we're starting with, only so you can learn from my mistake. And there's a solution to my problem and a great travel tip at the end of that. My name is Palle. This is The Radio Vagabond, episode 217.
I'm going to Colombia.
And we're heading to MEDELLÍN, Colombia. Hopefully. This episode is brought to you in part by Hotels25.com. Whenever you need a hotel anywhere in the world, go to Hotels25.com. That would get you the best price. Hotels25.com searches a bunch of the biggest hotel sites in one simple search. Hotels25.com.
This is The Radio Vagabond Podcast.
Where did you coming from?
Malaga.
No, de Málaga. Tengo aquí a Laura.
So, prior to going to the airport, I made sure that I had everything in order. I got my COVID test, I filled out all the immigration forms for entering Colombia, and was pretty sure that I had everything sorted. But then, when I got to the gate, as one of the last people, I was asked for a return ticket or an onward ticket. Proof that I wouldn't overstay my visit in Colombia.
You must hold a return ticket.
And I didn't have that.
I wasn't told that. I went to the official Colombia website and filled out the form and answered a lot of questions.
Yeah, for the technique.
Nothing for
the technique is not.
But
how
would
another
I?
thing. They don't check on the technique if you have
how should
a
I know
return
that?
ticket or not. You have a visa or not.
So what do I do now?
You need to buy a return ticket or a forward ticket.
Like
if you don't,
right
you
now?
can.
Yeah, right now, he says. And then, when he saw that I was one of the last in the line and he was just about to close the gate, he just casually, without any empathy, said,
I suppose you cannot fly, sir.
What?
You cannot fly because the flight is departing in a few minutes. So. Yeah.
I suppose you cannot fly, sir. And then he spoke Spanish to some of the other passengers in a similar situation. I was totally stressed out, and with my phone I got on skyscanner.com trying desperately, quickly to buy a ticket anywhere out of Colombia, so he would allow me to get on the plane. At the same time, I was worried that he would give my ticket to someone else.
Don't give my ticket away.
To be honest, this is such a rookie mistake from me. I've experienced this before, and I've been in a similar situation before in my time as a nomad, like when I was going to the Philippines from Dubai. I guess I've just gotten a bit rusty from not traveling as much during COVID. It's not all, But some countries require that you have an onward ticket. Why is that? Well, countries want to make sure that you don't overstay the set amount of time you can be in their country. It's also to prevent illegal immigration, and also because they want to confirm that you have enough money to actually buy a ticket and leave the country. Honestly, these are all very valid reasons. So I went on Skyscanner and I searched Medellín, Colombia to anywhere. Yeah, you can do that on Skyscanner, looking for the cheapest ticket that showed up. As I'm stressing out, trying to enter my credit card details on my phone, I'm speaking to another guy in the same situation.
I found a cheap flight to Panama.
From where?
I went to Skyscanner. I said here from to Medellín to anywhere.
How much is it?
80 euros or something like that.
It's the
70.
airlines that are held responsible and are required to check for proof of onward ticket.
Oh my God,
It's not always they ask, so you could be lucky and go through without it. But don't take that chance and risk ending up like me right here, trying to get the confirmation for a ticket before he closes the door.
What's the webpage you took?
Skyscanner.
Yeah, but then Bingo?
I don't remember.
And as I'm struggling with the system, it's not working the way it should.
Maybe you can open your hotspot.
Sorry. Isn't there Wi-Fi here?
A person asked me for a hotspot,
before they close the door.
and the guy from the airline is asking me if I have a checked bag.
Have you checked any bags? Yes?
Yes,
You
yes,
check
yes.
Any bag? Can I see your boarding pass?
See, okay.
Like he's in such a rush to get my bag out of the plane, as I'm obviously not going to fly.
It's not.
People have to get a return ticket or forward ticket to go to Colombia.
And then he gets in an argument with another passenger. Can I see your boarding pass? No, give me 2 minutes. Give me your boarding pass. No, can I go on the airplane? Okay, you cannot fly. Have a listen.
Boarding passes, please.
Oh.
No?
Give me 2 minutes.
No, excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir. Can you give me your boarding pass?
Can I go to the airplane?
No.
I give you the ticket.
Okay, you cannot fly.
Hey man, come back.
Okay,
Take it easy.
I don't care, sir.
No, man,
I don't care. May I see your boarding pass?
I'm listening to this as I'm getting closer to having a confirmation of a random ticket out of Colombia.
I almost have it now.
My heart is racing. I don't want to be the one that gets that message. Okay, you cannot fly. And then I have it and showing my ticket.
Here's my ticket.
Where do you go to?
Panama.
Okay, sir.
Why isn't this an information we get before?
You have to check on the embassy of the country.
I did, and I don't believe it's so.
I don't know if you can tell, but I was really annoyed. But it's obviously my own responsibility. And listening back to it now is almost embarrassing. And there are ways of avoiding to get in a situation like this. If you don't know where you want to go or when you want to leave, you can find an airline that would refund and get your money back. Or even more easy, use the website called Onward Ticket. Here you can rent a ticket for $12, which is good for 48 hours. It's a real ticket and you'll get a confirmation to show to the airline, and then this Onward Ticket is cancelled once you've arrived. All taken care of by Onward Ticket. This website is brilliant and, by the way, made by digital nomads who want to help people like me in the process of visa applications. The link is onwardticket.com, and in case you forget, it's in the notes section for this episode in your podcast app and on theradiovagabond.com.
This is The Radio Vagabond. Gotta keep moving.
When I finally got on the plane, it was 5:02 p.m. And then, 6 hours after my stress with the ticket before they closed the door, I was back in the terminal.
Okay, last time you heard my voice, it was around 5 o'clock, maybe a little bit to 5 o'clock. And now, it's 11:30, and I'm still in Madrid airport. I have been sitting on the plane for five and a half hours, It's snowy here in Madrid, and I think they mentioned something about ice in the engine or something like that. And we didn't get to leave. We had something to eat, and were there for a very long time. I think I saw 2 movies, and then they asked us to leave the plane again, and we did, and we had to go up and then through security again in order to go to a gate that's very close to where we were just before. Yeah, we couldn't just leave the plane and go to the other gate, even though we were had already been through the security. And now we're waiting for the other gate to open, hopefully sometime before midnight. This is another issue because local time we would land at 7:30 p.m. But now it's 11:30 p.m. and we'll probably be flying around midnight. So I don't know when we're going to be landing in Medellín. Maybe sometime middle of the night, and that's going to be another issue because my Airbnb host Rob, he told me that he would come to the apartment and let me in, and now it's probably in the middle of the night, and because of curfew he can't do that. So that's another issue. Am I going to the airport and wait until the curfew time is over, whenever that is, and then go to the city, or what's going to happen? I'm chatting to Rob at the moment on WhatsApp, so he and I were sorting out what to do when I get there. But first of all, I need to know around when it's going to be. Probably sometime tonight. I'll get back to you when I know a bit more.
Here at 11:30 p.m., I was expecting to fly at around midnight, but that didn't happen. We waited another 5 hours before we were airborne and on the way to Colombia.
The Radio Vagabond. Gotta keep moving.
I got there at 9:30 in the morning and went through immigration without them asking to see an onward ticket. The good news was that I didn't arrive in the middle of the night like I was worried about, but the driver that my host Rob had sent did. He'd been waiting since 3 in the morning.
¿Cómo está? Largo viaje.
Tired.
The driver, Juan Pablo, speaks only Spanish.
¿Y tú?
Bien. ¿Y primera vez en Medellín?
Sí. Pero tengo muchos amigos aquí.
And my Spanish definitely has room for improvement. So one of the first things I did when I got settled in my apartment in Laureles in Medellín was to look for a Spanish class.
Okay, super. Well, so nice. Thank you for joining. Yeah. Nice. And where are you from?
Denmark.
I found Alejandra, and we ended up doing 3 one-to-one classes every week for 3 to 4 months, even after I left Colombia. She's really a great teacher and makes it individual for each student. Like, she knew that I had a passion for producing podcasts, so one week my homework was to do a 2-minute podcast about Medellín in Spanish.
Hola, soy Palabo. Bienvenido al podcast de Radio Vagabundo. Ahora estoy en la calle de Medellín, una gran ciudad cosmopolita de Colombia. Llevo 5 semanas aquí. Estuve un mes en Laureles.
I put the entire 2 minutes after this episode in case you want to hear it. And drop me a line if you're looking for a great Spanish teacher. I'd love to connect you to Alejandra. Anyway, I'm in Colombia, so let's get 7 interesting facts about this place.
And now, Facts about where we are.
After the capital, Bogota, Medellín is the second largest city in Colombia. The population is about 2.5 million, 3.7 million in the metro area, and it covers an area of 381 square kilometers, 147 square miles, and is 1,500 meters, 4,920 feet above sea level. It's located in the central region of the Andes Mountains in South America. Medellín is known as the City of Eternal Spring. That might be because the weather's typically a perfect 70 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit, 22 to 23 Celsius, no matter the season. So flowers on balconies and terraces, in gardens and parks, on sidewalk cafe tables, blooms all year. It's also known as the capital of the mountain. And speaking of flowers, it also has the nickname the City of Flowers. Unlike expensive tourist tramways in other cities, the cable car's metro cable is a regular part of the city's public transport. And this is something they did before any other city in the world. So while you're cruising up high, you might be rubbing shoulders with the locals heading home after work. Medellín has an incredible skyline, dotted with skyscrapers, grand colonial buildings, and colorful homes, and it looks extra good when you're zipping over the scene in a cable car. And Lonely Planet describes the Medellín cable car system as possibly the least expensive but most comprehensive and photogenic city tour in the world. Medellín is surrounded by mountains, so getting public transport to the steepest corners of the city isn't easy. So city planners got a bright idea. Other than the cable cars, they decided to build an outdoor escalator. The Comuna 13 neighborhood, Comuna 13, is on a steep hillside, and before, the people living here had to climb an equivalent of 28 stores to get home from the city center. Now the journey takes 6 minutes, and the views get increasingly impressive as you glide up the hill. The Urban Land Institute awarded Medellín the Innovative City of the Year in 2013. Tramways, cable cars, and the outdoor escalators were a big part of this, but also the city's world-class art galleries, libraries, and public spaces. Later, in 2014, Medellín won the Lee Kuan Yew World City Prize, a sort of urbanism Nobel Prize. Medellín got this because of its transformation into an outstanding, livable city. It's not so dangerous anymore. 25 years ago, Time magazine dubbed Medellín the most dangerous city in the world. It was here Pablo Escobar had his Medellín cartel, a powerful and highly organized Colombian drug cartel and a terrorist-type criminal organization. Escobar and other drug lords lived like princes. Judges and policemen were assassinated on a daily basis, and ordinary people disappeared overnight without trace. You might have seen Narcos on Netflix, that tells the story of the life of Pablo Escobar and the rise and fall of the Medellín cartel. By the way, it's important to say that this is fiction and, according to the locals, only partly a true story. Pablo Escobar was killed in 1993, yet still many people to this day think that Colombia, and especially Medellín, is a dangerous place to visit. But since then, the city has been transformed. Obviously, it's a big city and not without problems, but it's really not more dangerous than any other big city. So Medellín went from being the murder capital of the world to a hipster holiday destination and a digital nomad hotspot.
And that was Facts About Where We Are.
Back in the day, Comuna 13 was the most dangerous district in the most dangerous city in the world. And actually, it only got worse after Escobar was killed. The real violence of Comuna 13 only started after his death in 1993. The power vacuum created a bloody battle between left-wing guerrillas, right-wing paramilitary groups, and local street gangs. They all wanted to take control over Comuna 13, and between 1997 and 2002, the murder rate of Medellín tripled. The district was divided into zones of the guerrilla and paramilitary. There were invisible borders everywhere, and if you crossed one, it could mean the difference between life and death. If you'd said just 15 years ago that you were going to Comuna 13, people would have thought you were crazy. Still today, it's not 100% safe, but this district is on the road to recovery, and one of the positive influences is the Comuna 13 street art, and that's where I'm going next. We'll be right back.
This is the Radio Vagabond podcast.
There are a ton of travel podcasts out there, but most of them are featuring people talking about their experience. I really like Far From Home because the host, Scott Gurian, actually brings his microphone along with him on his journey. So you get to listen in and join him on his adventures. And he's constantly trying to go to places most tourists don't go and venture outside his comfort zone. Like the time he met a medicine man in Peru and attended a hallucinogenic healing session.
There was a single fluorescent light bulb hanging in the center of the room, which gave everything a cold and clinical look. Hardly the comforting atmosphere you would hope for an experience like this. After his song ended, Lucho gave the bottle of ayahuasca a final shake, and then offered me some.
A ver, vamos a empezar, Scott.
Solo quiero un poquito.
Yeah.
Just a little, I reminded him. Okay. He poured out about an ounce of it into his wooden cup. I held it up to my nose.
Smells strong. Okay, here we go. Extremely bitter. Ugh. Okay.
For more immersive reporting like this from around the world, check out Scott's show. It's called Far From Home, and you'll find it anywhere you listen, or simply go to farfromhome.org.
This is the Radio Vagabond podcast.
I'm at San Javier metro station in Medellín, and I'm about to go on a tour with Laura, a local tour guide, to Comuna 13.
Comuna 13 is famous for the outdoor escalators, but just as much for its amazing street art. Local artists are responsible for the colorful murals.
Laura, can you tell us a little bit about what can we expect from this tour? What are we going to see?
Okay, so the tour is about Comuna 13. I'm going to explain you about the culture, what does the painting mean. I'm going to tell you what were the reason for Comuna 13 was the most dangerous places in Medellín. And now you will see and learn how is the transformation. Yeah. This is the situation here. There are many informal guys over the tour, yes. We worked here for 5 years. In the beginning it was amazing because it was not a lot of tourists like the guys here, but this is fine. It's very bad for the situation right now because there's not many customers on the tour.
No, because of COVID, of course.
That's right. But I think it's getting better, it's more and more.
And if we sound funny, it's because we're wearing a mask.
That's right. That's right. I don't like to use the mask, but it's necessary.
I hate it.
It's a good protocol.
I can't wait to get back to normal.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I was about to be given a tour of Comuna 13 and experience the urban art, dance, and the transformation of this district, and hear some amazing stories. It's called Comuna 13, Comuna 13, and like I mentioned, for years it was considered one of the most dangerous areas in the city and in Colombia and in the world, but today it's an awesome example of change.
Okay, so now welcome to Comuna 13. I am Laura. I will be your guide maybe for 2 hours and a half. I am very happy to have you here to be with me and learn about my neighborhood where I have lived my entire life. So on this tour, I would like to tell you, I'm going to explain you about the culture, what does the paintings mean, what were the reason for Comuna 13 was the most dangerous places, and now you will see amazing transformation. Yeah? On this tour as possible, you will see the children on the way. My recommendation for you, please don't give the money. No. It's not a good idea because there are many social projects, there are many opportunities for them, but you know, some of them it doesn't matter just to get the money very easy, maybe use the money for buy drugs so they fight together. Yeah? So now...
Is drugs still a problem?
Oh, of course. Yeah. There are the criminal groups, they call Las Bacrin. This is like the smaller group, they selling the drugs in all Medellin, and they do the extortions and many business. So many business needs to pay them. They say protection, but this is stupid, it's not true. Yeah. I don't like that.
Yeah, that's what they want.
Okay, so now we are going to walk 10 minutes.
Okay.
To ride, the first stop is called Antonio Nariño. Cool. So when we'll be there, the tourists start.
Okay.
Now, let's go.
My local guide, Laura, works for Zippy Tours. Find the link on theradiovagabond.com. And she actually lives here. So we'll end the tour at the house she lives in with her family, way up the hill of Comuna 13.
If travel is your passion, and you want escapism while still upholding your work and family responsibilities, you can travel vicariously from the comfort of your own home. This is the Radio Vagabond Podcast.
Laura has lived here in Comuna 13 her entire life. Her parents got married when they were very young.
My mom was 15 years old and my dad 18 years old. Why? Because it was the agreements between families when they had many children. For example, my dad came from 19 siblings. Crazy. My mom, 21 siblings. So.
Can you imagine? Her father had 19 siblings and her mom, 21. So for both of the parents, it was, wow, we have many kids. Let's get them to get married as soon as possible so we can get them out of the house.
Quickly. So my parents, very young, they got married without money. It's true, without money, without land, without house.
The young couple was very poor and couldn't afford to buy land or a house. But at that time, around 1980, this was a part of the city where they could get a piece of land for free.
So when my parents heard it's possible to take the land free in the Comuna 13, so they thought, we need to go here. So in 1981, it was the year that my parents arrived in Comuna 13. After that, my mom was pregnant with me, so I had good memories when I was a girl. I remember at that time there were small rivers between the mountains, there were the mango tree, guava, coffee plants, among others.
So Laura has fond memories about living here when she was a girl in the 80s. And the invisible borders that I was talking about earlier first came later. So she tells me that she didn't see any dead people in the streets, but the quality of life when it comes to health was very bad.
It was terrible. Also the construction to the houses, but there were activities like concerts. There were no invisible borders between neighborhoods. People crossed between neighborhoods without any problem. So I never saw dead people on the way. I could say we live in peace.
And it was like a forgotten part of the city. It was just poor people living here, so it was like the government didn't care about them.
When I was a girl, I never saw the police here. In my opinion, I think it was true. The government didn't care what happened here. It's poor people, so it doesn't matter, don't care. So, for the reason, the local people, for no protection for the government, formed the first illegal group. They called themselves the popular militias. You understand that? Like the illegal security. Okay, in that time, militias maybe was a good illegal group. They were the security in this neighborhood because when I was young or when I was child, I was outside in my home very late. The militias, hey kids, it's too late. Let's go home now. So 6 p.m. at 8 p.m. you never saw the children get out of the houses. Or when the militia saw the young people smoking cannabis, you know what is cannabis? In front of the children, they say, hey man, what's going on? What is your reason for you use the drugs in front of the children? get lost. So in that time, I could say militias, it was a good illegal group, but everything was changed when Pablo Escobar died.
Yes, everything would change when Pablo Escobar died in 1993. At the time, Laura was around 11 years old, and as we talked about earlier, this was when things turned really bad here in Comuna 13. When Escobar was at the peak with the Medellín cartel, he recruited a lot of young people here in Comuna 13.
You know, he was one of the biggest drug traffickers in Colombia for 10 years. So his operations were very successful, especially in Medellín, in poor neighborhoods. So these neighborhoods becoming the primary places where he used local young people to commit crimes such as kidnapping, contractor assassination, murder, torture, and terrorism. He paid $1 million and $5 million for every police held killed. So it was a good business. Can you imagine long time ago when the people, they didn't have job, they didn't have money, or they didn't have opportunity. So it was easy money very fast. He was responsible to kill 657 policemen in Medellín, becoming the most wanted man in the world.
As you might remember, the hunt for Pablo Escobar ended when he was shot on a roof in Comuna 11, not far from here.
The government thought when Pablo Escobar was killed, the violence was over. It was not true. Others took control for the drug businesses, kidnapping, and the violence, guys, spread everywhere. But what happened in the Comuna 13? In 1995, the guerrillas group, guerrilla is like the left group, like the communist group. Do you know what is guerrillas? Like the FARC. Okay, the guerrillas group took control of the 80% of Comuna 13, militias, and the ELN joining the guerrillas. Then also paramilitaries. Paramilitaries is the right group, like the protection for rich people, okay? It's against to the guerrillas. So paramilitaries group wanted to get control of Comuna 13 that was already controlled by the guerrillas. So for many years, it's true, the violence was growing more and more, and the government's action always came too late, because the worst time was between 2000 and 2002. Guys, only in 2002, there were 442 dead people between guerrillas, paramilitaries, and more innocent people. So when the innocent people saw abuse of the power every day, we working together for revolution, for the protest, for hate government. What's going on is many innocent people die.
During that time, the government had many operations to get law and order brought to Comuna 13. They all failed. So in October 2002, they did a more drastic operation.
In this operation, the government used 1,500 militaries and local police, 1,000 armed paramilitaries groups, and 2 Black Hawk helicopters.
Operation Orion was the largest urban military operation ever to take place in Colombia, and it lasted 4 days.
The ultimate destination for armchair travelers who are looking for inspiration to get out into the real world and let loose their wanderlust. This is the Radio Vagabond. Gotta keep moving.
We continue to Laura's house and a cold beer on the balcony with a stunning view of Comuna 13 and Medellín. On the way, we saw a lot of amazing street art and was witness to several dance acts. Even though a part of it was on the escalators, it was still a lot of walking uphill.
So, Laura, we now reached the top here in Comuna 13. Your home, and with a stunning view of Medellín and Comuna 13 from here. And it was a workout.
Yes, yes.
Thank God for the escalators at some part, but I can feel my legs, and I'm sure I can feel it tomorrow as well.
Yeah, it's very, very nice.
So this is the place where you live now, and also where you grew up. Tell me a little bit about the place. How many people of your family lives here now, and what's the place?
Okay, so now how many people live in my mother's house? It's maybe 3 sisters and 2 brothers.
You had to maybe
Yes.
3 sisters. It depends
Yes,
on the day.
I need to count in my mind how many brothers and sisters live with my mom. But it's good because there are 2 floors and we live independent, not together, but it's much better than maybe 40 years ago. Everybody lived in one house, one bathroom.
Oh,
so
yeah. Oh, yeah.
crazy. We're always fight.
When you had just had one bathroom, how many people were sharing that
Oh
bathroom?
my God, so maybe 10. 10 or 30. 13.
Yeah. But you're very high up, and it must be difficult for you to go to work because that's all the way down there.
Of course, especially when I was the nurse was maybe 10 years ago. I think so, 10 years ago. I woke up 3 a.m. because I need to be in the hospital at 6 a.m. and it's far away because I went to Envigado. It's maybe 1 hour.
Yeah.
You need to take the bus and later metro and later walking. It's far away.
And cars don't come up here, but I've seen scooters.
Yes, it's just only motorcycles.
Yeah,
And the people walking. What is the reason for no cars in the middle? There is a good infrastructure, but the mountain is not very strong for that the vibration for the cars. No, I just walking.
Yeah.
Walking.
Thank you so much for a wonderful tour. It was amazing.
Well, thank you. Thanks to you for you coming to the tour and you asked me some questions.
Thank you.
No, you're welcome.
I have a few final words from Laura in a few seconds, and then my Spanish micro podcast at the very end. But first, let me remind you that this episode is supported in part by Hotels25.com. You should use this website every time you're looking for a place to stay. You could, of course, do it yourself. Search Booking.com, Hotels.com, Agoda, Expedia, and many of the other sites that you might never even have heard about to get the best price. Or you can simply search them all at the same time using Hotels25.com, and it's best price guaranteed. One final thing before I give the microphone back to Laura. I really enjoy hearing from you guys, and right now I would like to hear where would you like to go on an upcoming trip? What is on your bucket list? Go to contact on theradiovagabond.com. Here you can fill out the form or send me a voice message, or just send an email to listener@theradiovagabond.com. And now, here you go, Laura.
Thank you so much for you are here. But you know, Colombia is more than narcos. Colombia's coffee, Colombia has the flower festival, Colombia has the carnivals for Barranquilla, Colombia has a beautiful paradise and friendly people and crazy guys. Yes, so I hope, please, this is your homework. When the people ask you about Colombia, say good things. Yes? So thank you so much for you are here. Oh, you're welcome.
My name's Palabo, and I gotta keep moving. See ya. As I promised, here is my homework for my Spanish class. A 2-minute podcast about Medellín in Spanish.
Hola, soy Palabo. Bienvenido al podcast de Radio Vagabundo. Ahora estoy en la calle de Medellín, una gran ciudad cosmopolita de Colombia. Llevo 5 semanas aquí. Estuve un mes en Laureles y ahora vivo en Poblado, que es más turístico y lleno de vida. La semana pasada visité Guatapé, una ciudad más pequeña con casas coloridas y tiendas acogedoras. Cerca de Guatapé hay una montaña llamada Piedra de Peñol o La Roca. Tiene 220 metros de altura y caminé hasta la cima. Fue muy duro. Pero cuando llegué a la cima, tuve la vista más magnífica de un área hermosa con muchos lagos. Cuando estuve aquí en Medellín, también visité la Comuna 13, una de las 16 comunas de la ciudad. Comuna 13 fue una vez la parte más peligrosa de la ciudad más peligrosa del mundo. pero ahora se transforma con hermosos grafitis en las paredes que hablan la historia de la zona. Es como una galería de arte urbano en las calles, muy interesante. Colombia es un país muy bonito, pero lo mejor de visitar este lugar es la gente. Estoy seguro de que volveré aquí muchas veces en el futuro. Mi nombre es Palebo. Has estado escuchando el podcast de Radio Vagabundo. Chao.
Produced by RadioGuru.co.uk.